Arthur Rankin. With my gang at Rankin-Bass Studios, we made this film, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. A couple of dozen years ago, I lived in Greenwich Village, in a row of Greenwich Village houses, and my next-door neighbor was Johnny Marks, who had written the song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer a few years before that, and had grown to be a big Christmas hit. So I said to Johnny, listen, let's make this into a film. After a lot of conversation, we came together, and Rudolph, the character, and the story of the song became the basis of the film. The figures are, first of all, drawn and designed, and they're approximately, 12 inches long if you're a reindeer, and 6 to 8 inches high if you're Hermie the elf. A very small scale. The sets are built in scale with those characters. They're all made with armatures. In other words, everything in their body can be moved, like in the human body. Their fingers have joints, their eyes are mobile, their mouth moves, their ears move. The animagic process is a miniature world with the figures in miniature. And for every character on screen, every animagic character, off screen is a technician who moves that character when the camera frame clicks over. So for every click of the camera, for every frame of the camera, someone jumps in who's in charge of their character and animates it. And they calibrate this mostly in their head. So you never finish a shot until it's finished. There's no cutting, breaking, coming back. Rudolph starts out in life with this awful handicap, that he is not going to be an achiever. He's an underdog. Finally, through the evolution of his efforts and the fact that he has this one characteristic that everyone else considered a handicap, he emerges and becomes a hero. Kids are like that. They're hoping for that one thing in their life that will bring them up and make them a hero. In Frosty the Snowman, again, it's the same thing. We have a fellow with an awful problem. He's going to melt unless he gets to the North Pole. There's antagonists. The magician wants the hat that will prevent him from getting to the North Pole. And the same is true in Rudolph. The bad guys stand in their way. But the trick is not to let these fellows end the film as bad guys. They're really all converted towards the end, become great friends of the hero, and join in to help them with their campaign. When Rudolph is born, his parents are very proud. Here they have this lovely new child, reindeer. As he greets his parents for the first time and his nose illuminates, they realize that their reindeer is not like the other reindeers. And suddenly Donner, one of Santa's lead reindeers, is very embarrassed that his child is not going to be like the other reindeers. And he's afraid that Rudolph can't participate in the reindeer games and that the others will shun him.
I've got it! We'll hide Rudolph's nose.
Hide it?
Yeah. Come here, boy. You'll be a normal...
So he begins to cover Rudolph's nose with mud to disguise his handicap. Remember, the story comes from the lyric of the song. But obviously that is not enough to make a full film. So you invent other characters that complement Rudolph and play opposite him or join him.
Oh, is this your snowbank?
No. Who are you?
Well,
Hermie the elf is Rudolph's great pal in this adventure because he also is a misfit. The song We're a Couple of Misfits states that. Hermie really doesn't want to be an elf making toys in the workshop. He wants to be, of all things, a dentist.
Do you mind telling me what you do want to do?
Well, sir, someday I'd like to be a dentist.
A dentist?
Certainly not a vocation for a Christmas elf. The two of them together overcome their handicaps and become heroes. Yukon Cornelius represents a lot of characteristics that we all admire but sort of are afraid to espouse. And that is a blustering, braggart type of individual who captivates you with humor and with his energy. Again, it's such an appealing, outlandish caricature that we embrace him. Clarissa obviously is Rudolph's great love interest. And she presents herself first as an understanding, sympathetic, lovable girl. And this is a new adventure for Rudolph, who has always been shunned by his other playmates and the other reindeers. She is our romantic lead. Development is, in some cases, an act of heroism. And Rudolph, with his basic problems yet unsolved shows that he is truly a hero when he casts himself off into the night from the island of misfit toys, because he knows that his presence, by the illumination of his nose, will lead the snow monster there, the Mumble. And so he practically gives his life to save those of his friends and the toys on Misfit Island. The Abominable Snowman is a legendary story in history. He may or may not exist, but ours did exist, and we called him the Bumble, and we made him a comic villain, big, foolish, but very aggressive and very, very mean, until he's reformed and becomes part of the finale of Happiness. So that shows that even bad guys can become good guys with the spirit of Christmas.
Looky what he can do!
I've been told over 1 billion people have seen Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I didn't know that was going to be the figure. I didn't realize when we made this film, none of us did, that we would reach such a vast, vast audience. But we're all part of this. Nobody makes a film by themselves. There is no one single person. I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by great, great, great talent. My partner, Jules Bass, our writer, Romeo Muller, our composer, Maury Laws, and some of our great people in Japan. My partner, Jules Bass, our writer, Romeo Muller, our composer, Maury Laws, and some of our great people in Japan, Masaki Iizuka, who ran our Animagic studios and animation studios there. All of these people contributed to the success of the films. And they all equally are part of them. Paul Cooper, the designer of Frosty and many other films. We have a Jack Davis, who did many of our films with us, are all great talents. And we stayed together for dozens of years. We worked in the same group. We stayed in the same group. We're a very tight-knit family. Our story ends when Rudolph's handicap, his glowing red nose, becomes necessary for Santa to deliver the toys for Christmas. It's a dark and foggy night, and they can't see beyond the clouds. All of the other reindeer, with their strength and their knowledge of the trip, can't help. But Rudolph's shiny nose will lead them through the dark and stormy night.
Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight?
It will be an honor, sir.
The very reindeer that shunned him because of his glowing nose now need him. And as Santa says, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide our sleigh tonight? And they all cheer him. He's practically carried on their shoulders to the front of the sleigh. He leads the team with Santa delivering the toys on an otherwise Christmas Eve that wouldn't have Santa into the full moon. Rudolph is going down in history. He has gone down, and I think he'll continue to go down in history.
Merry Christmas!